And he offers to us in the case study there 2 standard pieces of negotiation advice that he says apply universally across any negotiation. And the first one is develop absolute clarity on your interest and strategic objectives. And we'll talk a little bit about interest. I don't know how much you caught there, or familiar with the term interest compared to really what you want. It's a matter of what you want, and the interest is why you want it. So the what you want is the position. The interest is why do you want that? So you have to be very clear about both your interest, why you want the thing you want, as much as your counterparts. They may have a position, but it's our job to probe behind that and see why they want what they want. And as you can see there, the objectives, the styles, the characteristics. He said that it's also very important that we don't focus on what will happen to us if we don't get a deal, or if we do move forward with a potential deal. It's important to focus on what will happen to them. And frame at that point, you can bring value to them. It's not about what's happening to you. You can position whatever you're talking about in the way that it provides value to your counterpart at that point. So that's the second piece he gives us there. And he says there's always 5 principles. This comes from the investigative negotiations piece that we looked at in the online video series. It says don't just discuss what your counterpart wants, is why they want it. That's the interest we talked about. And seek to understand and mitigate the other side's constraints. So we get further into the year, we talk through Whitney Johnston and VUCA leadership. This is the idea that those constraints actually provide an opportunity for us if we can get in their mindset and in the way that they're thinking. The third principle is interpret demands as opportunities. If they're demanding something, that means that there's something behind it. There's something there. If we can work to understand what that demand is all about, we can be in better shape with them. Creating common ground. We do not have to have our negotiations be adversarial. If we can get on the same page and think about how do we together attack this problem that we have out there that we're trying to negotiate, if we can be on the same side, even the research shows that something as little as how we position ourselves when we are negotiating. One of those things is, naturally when you sit down to negotiate with somebody, almost without thinking, you're sitting down across the table from each other. If we would just sit on the same side of the table with the person we're negotiating with, and then perhaps be drawing on the whiteboard about how it is we're going to attack that problem, very quickly that gets us into a different mindset and a different way of moving forward with the negotiation. That's one of the things they ask us to do. And then continue to investigate after the deal even appears to be lost. So, Cody gave this deal about the other night on the webinar about the business manager coming in and asking for that 888. And you thought, well, man, that's way out there. How could it possibly be that they're asking for that? Your job is to find out the why as opposed to the what. And in a case, it wasn't the one Cody talked about, but in another case a couple of years ago, there was actually the deal where the business manager came in, made a very similar offer like that. And then when the deal was lost, the other side says, why, that was an outlandish ask. Why'd you ask for that? He says, well, I'll tell you what, he says, I knew I wasn't going to get it, but I also knew I had to get elected next year, and I needed my membership to know that I demanded that in the beginning. Oh, now I get it. Now I'm more willing to work. There's always that investigative part after the fact.